Hello, 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 hello. It is that time once again that we discuss Torchwood, where I have now rewatched Torchwood Children of Earth. Now, when Children of Earth first came out in 2009, wasn't allowed to watch it as it was airing. That's just something my mother just did not allow. Um, but that's there's nothing I could do about it. And it wasn't really until last year that I sat down and watched Children of Earth for the very first time, and my opinions from then and now are completely different. So instead of going episode by episode, there's no real point because it's not a standalone thing like the past two seasons have been, and the same with Doctor Who, where every episode is in a sense a standalone adventure unless you get into two or three parters for the modern series and not in counting classic Who. And yeah, so I'm going to discuss my original thoughts, and then we'll talk about what my thoughts are after this rewatch, and what I think has helped me see Children of Earth in a brand new light. So, when I initially watched it last year, I was really looking forward to it because, I knew obviously of Yanto's death prior to this. I also knew of, the 456 using kids to do this. I didn't know that they were used for drug recreation and stuff. I just knew that Yanto dies, Jack had some involvement with the 456, and Jack goes kaboom, and Gwen is pregnant. That's all I knew until I sat down and watched it last year. And I loved episode one when I during my first watch through. I thought episode one was fantastic. It really, really gripped me in. And then I felt episodes 2 to 5 were a letdown, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like Yanto's death, and I still don't. But I will get to that. So, what's different about this time? Well, I actually done something different with this rewatch. You see, when Children of Earth first came out, the same with the next season, Miracle Day, it was aired at all 5 parts during the week, from Monday to Friday. So, yes, every episode does end on a cliffhanger, but you get to see what happens next the next day. And when I first watched through it, I didn't do that. And I did this time where I specifically forced myself to just watch one episode a day. So Tuesday to Saturday is how I'd done it, and it greatly improved this my views on it. Instead of binging it in 1 or 2 sittings, I actually took my time with this to sit with each episode, to think about it, and that's what made me enjoy Children of Earth a hell of a lot more. So, Children of Earth, as I mentioned, is basically about the 456, this alien entity that came to Earth in 1965. They wanted 12 children in order for the 456 to give them this medicine for this great disease that if the disease came about, would wipe out a huge chunk of the Earth's population, kind of like what the Spanish flu did. And so they gave the task to Captain Jack. He went to an orphanage up in Glasgow, and he took 12 children and they gave them to him, except one escaped, kind of. And that was Clement MacDonald, who went on the run afterwards and kind of goes a bit loopy. So then we fast forward to present day, where at 2 different times the children stop doing whatever it is they're doing for a little bit. That then causes some accidents as well, and that's when the government starts getting involved, and that's when it's revealed that, hey, it's the 456, they've come back. And so one of the members of government, John Frobisher, played by 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi, orders Torchwood's execution. And so that happens. It's not only just Torchwood's execution, but it's the execution of all those that were involved in the 1965 incident, to kind of save face. So that kind of happens. Jack ends up getting goes kaboom. The children are constantly talking more about the 456 is taking over them. Then the episode one ends with uh, the Torchwood team on the run and Jack going kaboom. And the Torchwood hub, as we know it, is no more. And this time around, it kind of got me thinking, if the entire Torchwood hub is gone, well, we know that they have Weevils in prison, in the prison cells in the Torchwood hub, so they're gone, they're dead, there's no saving them. There was nothing they could have done. But what about the cryogenic lab? Where they would freeze people. They try to freeze year one from last season. Jack was frozen there. Uh, Susie's body was there. Probably still was there, to be honest. Gray, Jack's brother, was probably there. It's not stated on what happened to that, so my guess is when the Torchwood hub goes kaboom boom, uh, they're all dead. Even if there's just no way that they could survive. So yeah, the Torchwood team is splintered off. They're hiding. Some of Jack's remains gets brought in, and we learn that even if you decapitate him or if he goes kaboom boom, he will regenerate. He'll start coming back together and stuff. And so episode two is really breaking Jack out. But it's also through Children of Earth that we learn that Jack has a daughter and grandchild, which uh, I like. I like the idea that despite uh, Jack's line of duty, that um, you potentially could have had multiple different families. We do know something similar to that in that vein with a Shielder slash me in season 9 of Doctor Who, where uh, Capaldi reads the diaries that she actually did have children, so she definitely had some relationships. Um, but yeah, it's nice to see that even though Stephen, the grandchild, does not make it. Well, he makes it all the way to episode 5, but that's where he stops. So yeah, basically the government. This is the big thing, and as I was watching it this time, I was thinking to myself, yes, this is probably something that the government would do in today's day and age, and that is, well, the 456 basically now want 10% of the children population. Um, no more, no less. And then, the government uh, obliges. Essentially, they oblige. They set things up. They're going to, lie saying that it's inoculations, and then just hand them over to the 456. And it's not until episode 5 is when we learn that yes, the 456 are essentially using these children as drugs. So they're basically dealing with drug addicts. Uh, so yeah, there's that. That's basically the 456 in a nutshell. They're basically using the children as drug hits. They put some tubes in. They obviously have face masks on, because we do see one of the children from 1965 when the government in Frobisher sends in someone to look at what they do to the kids, and then in episode 4, not only is Yonto killed, which we're about to get to, but they also kill Clement. And it's because of that, the frequency and the fact that that frequency was recorded led Jack to be able to eventually stop the 456. So Yonto. Now, I said at the beginning of this video that I felt nothing for Yonto's death. Now, I understand Yonto is loved by a lot of Torchwood fans. I mean, where they filmed the entrance to the Torchwood hub, down in Cardiff Bay, there is a massive memorial for Yanto's character because he is loved by a lot of fans. But the reason why his death, two reasons why his death wasn't actually too impactful for me is one, I already knew about it prior to watching it, so it didn't really do much for me. The second is Yonto has really no character development in the 3 seasons of Torchwood that he's in. You know, the basics that we know of Yonto is he has a sister and a niece and a nephew. His dad's dead. He was a member of Torchwood One, Canary Wharf. He was there at the Battle of Canary Wharf. He had a girlfriend that was upgraded, and then he became Jack's partner, and then he died. That's it. That's all we know. 8 things compared to what I think it was a more impactful death is Owen and Toshiko, because Owen, well, he has to essentially he's forced to die again, something he doesn't want to do. He because of the radiation, he's going to have to watch himself slowly decay because of the radiation, and there's nothing he can do. He couldn't get out in time, and he has such the out of everyone in the Torchwood team, he has the kind of most dramatic backstory. You know, his wife was abruptly taken from him. That kind of probably done a number to his psyche. Um, you know, a lot of people thought he was mentally insane because of that. Then of course he joins Torchwood. He does become like a womanizer and stuff, but then of course he falls in love with Diane, and then Diane leaves him in season one, and as well with Toshiko. You know, she basically was forced to build this uh, bit of equipment in order to save her mother, and that resulted in her being imprisoned by Unit. And their Unit were literally going to leave her lock and key. They weren't ever going to release her until Jack came about. And then even then, she fell in love with Owen, had to watch him die once, and then had to listen to him die a second time, whilst herself dying. You know, two characters had gone through a lot worse than Yanto. Um, and that's just my honest opinion. I honestly, I like Yanto, but there are worse character deaths in Torchwood than Yanto, is all I'll say. So yeah, then as I said, they used the scream that was used to kill Clement. Jack unfortunately has to sacrifice his grandson in order to fully wipe it out. As you know, the government is allowing the military to use brute force. They take a lot of the kids out of the low end schools that to them aren't going to amount to anything. And then even when they were like, yeah, a lot of these kids, a lot of the parents said, no, you're not going back to school. They went full force and took them. So yeah, and then of course it ends with Jack being 6 month time skip. He's been traveling the world a lot and thinking, there's a lot of death that's happened. His grandson, a lot of the Torchwood team, and I think what's interesting is in season two when we're learning about how Jack joined Torchwood. He's been there since the late 1800s, so he's been a part of a lot of Torchwood teams, and none of them have affected him. Well, what we know that has affected him this greatly until this team. He lost Yanto, he lost his grandson, he lost Owen, Toshiko, Susie. Well, you can kind of stretch Susie there a little bit, but still, it was under his command. He is the one who recruited her. Um, and there's just the only two Torchwood members that are left is himself and Gwen. Kind of Reese as well, if you want to put that spin on it, because he technically does. And it's a shame that Reese. This is the last season that he'll ever do anything big. Because even in Miracle Day, he's kind of delegated to the side. Whilst it's Jack, Gwen, and the two Americans. But yeah, honestly, on this rewatch, I definitely enjoyed Children of Earth far more than I did the first time around. But I still think it's slightly overrated. It's not. There's definitely season two of Torchwood. Honestly, is a lot better. Um, I'm not just saying that because there's more episodes. I'm saying because of the character developments in it. Jack, we learn more about Jack. We learn more about him being on the boat slits. Palencia, butchered that, and we'll move past that. We learned about his brother. We learned that his father died. Um, Owen, we learned a lot more about him. We learned why he joined Torchwood, which again brings up his character a hell of a lot more. And the 3 episode arc that he goes on, the episode when Martha joins him, Owen getting killed, then being brought back, and then having to fight death, and then trying to find purpose in life again, even though he's dead, and then having him die at the end of the season again. Um, it's far better than Children of Earth, but I still enjoyed it. So there you guys go. That has been my review of Torchwood Children of Earth. Not as long as all the others, but that's because, you know, 5 episodes for one continuous story, I'm going to get through a lot quicker than the full reviews that I do for the others. So that is going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all on my next review, which is of the third Rocky film. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.